everybody, it is nostalgia time once again, and this time we're welcoming the newest member of our Nostalgia Paradise family. It's this HP laptop right here. Now let me show you around it before we open it up. So on the side there's the Ethernet port, HDMI, VGA, because this is a laptop from 2011, and there's two USB ports. There's the microphone. There's the microphone in port, headphone jack, SD card, and hard drive indicator. On the other side, the DVD drive, two more USB ports, and then that is I believe that's a modem port for a phone jack. On the side there is the charger. And then of course on the back, there's the St. Joseph sticker, because that's where all the laptops initially came from, and of course there is no doubt. So, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to open it up. This is the HP ProBook 4530S laptop, which was released in 2011. So it has a Intel Core i5 processor in it. It has a fingerprint reader, which I didn't know came with many of these computers back in the day. Now, to be honest, I'm very surprised that this ended up coming with a fingerprint reader. And the most important part about all this is that this thing still has its original factory installation of Windows 7 Service Pack 1, which of course lost support several years ago, so that's a shame. You know, I would have still loved to see Windows 7 supported to this day, considering that it's still in use on millions of PCs, but of course times change. And that's the same truth too for Windows 10, as there's literally less than 2 years of support left as it ends in October of 2025. But luckily Microsoft will be extending support for it to everybody if they pay. But enough of that story. Now what I want to do is I want to show the original, installation, how you were to get this if you were to take it out of the box and set it up for the first time. But what we're going to do here is we're going to restore the system to the original factory settings, because there is a factory recovery partition on the system already. And I just want to show how different this is compared to some of the other HPs. So here we have the Windows 7 automatic repair environment. And then this says, welcome to the HP Recovery Manager. And we'll click next. And then here's the warning that says your hard drive is about to be restored and that this process could take over an hour. So here's the warning saying that once the process is completed, you will not be able to go back. And check the box to confirm. And then we click next and the restore process begins. So this goes through multiple steps. Of course, the first step is to format the hard drive. And then the second step is, of course, restoring all of the operating system files from the partition on the machine. Yeah, this interface is not as graphical compared to the recovery environment on that HP I have over there. That's a little bit older than this one. That actually is an HP Pavilion Entertainment PC DV4, which was manufactured sometime in 2008. As it came with Service Pack 1 of Windows Vista. This one comes with Service Pack 1 of Windows 7. The addition on that one specifically is Home Premium. This one, because it was mainly aimed at businesses, comes with Windows 7 Professional. Now that is actually very similar to the Dell Vostro over there, which also came with Windows 7 Pro, and we took a look at it earlier in the series. Now in the last episode, you can see over there, that's the Lenovo ThinkPad, one of the updated ThinkPads that I got. So what we did on that one was we expanded the storage on the device by putting in a much larger capacity hard drive and then installing Windows 11 Pro onto the machine. And so far, Windows 11 is running pretty well on it, and I'm impressed. Now, of course, initially after I got this, it took me 2 weeks to get this all figured out. Now that's because the charger the school provided is in absolutely terrible condition, and I'll show you it right here. Now this is not what this machine came with. This is not what it came with. This, I believe, goes to one of the HP Compact PCs. It's like a little mini desktop tower that also came with Windows 7 Pro. I'm not sure if that also came with RTM or Service Pack 1, but that's all I know for sure. Now, it's in terrible condition because you can tell there's all the electrical tape right near the power brick. And then, if I pull it a little further, you can see all the wires exposed. Yeah, that poses a very serious fire hazard if used even once. And there's even more wires being exposed here too, and over here as well. You can see some of the protection covering being chipped away, and yeah, there's even a piece right here. So yeah, it is very slowly falling apart, which is definitely not good. So as a result of this discovery, and considering that I wanted to actually use this for something, and like I said, that's the charger that it did not come with when it was new. So when I had discovered that, I did some research on this specific machine to see what it actually looked like when it came at brand new. Now that's why I confirmed that that was the charger that it did not come with. So after doing some research on the unboxing stuff, I went on eBay and I bought the charger that it comes with. So this is the charger that it actually comes with, and it matches the voltage of the other one. So yeah, this is what the brick looks like when it came brand new. And you can tell it's in much better shape than the other one, which is really good. But also, what's even better is that it also came with a adapter. So it came with this little adapter, which is also compatible with some other HP machines. More specifically, this HP Pavilion laptop, the other one that I have right there. So yeah, that HP Pavilion laptop that I've had for a whole year. And now that I've finished my first semester of college officially, it's been serving me pretty well. However, the charger has seen some abusive use. So when that charger someday ends up in the same condition as that one, I luckily have an adapter for this so I can use it for such. Now I'll show you proof that it does fit. See? Look at that. So it converts the power from this cord to this end of the charger. So what I'm doing right now is I'm storing the adapter because I will end up using the adapter at a later point. So you can see that is all of the files for Windows 7. But then over there, I still have the 2 solid-state drives. And I'll explain what we're going to do with both of those a little later on. So for right now, let me get you all into a good position so you can watch all the files restore on the system. And then we will return once we get to the out-of-box experience. All right, so it's been a good half hour later, and here we are in the out-of-box experience with a much more familiar sequence to the Dell, except this shows up here at the end of the installation. And of course, the language is in English, and it's until then when the copyright notice shows up. However, once we set it here, we cannot change it. So next, and then of course all of this is correct. And then next we put in a username, and I will put a username in. I'll just put my the username I typically use. However, I will call this machine, I'll name this machine St. Joe HP because that's where this came from. And now it says to set a password. Now, there is a reason why I'm going to set the password, and it does involve that fingerprint sensor. So here's the license agreement for Service Pack 1 of Windows 7 Professional. And then that is the agreement for HP, the manufacturer. We'll go ahead and use recommended settings. Why not? The time is not correct as of the time this is being recorded, so to set this back by an hour. And now we will make our way to the desktop. However, there are a few more things that have to occur before this though. But the thing that sets this apart from a standard OEM installation is that they didn't put a special custom manufacturer wallpaper on the logon screen. They didn't put a special wallpaper in that regards. They didn't do anything like that. So they just left the Windows 7 default lock screen background and just left it as it is. Lenovo sets their custom wallpapers, like we saw when we checked out its semi-factory installation. Dell, of course, set their own when we checked out the Latitude and Vostro's factory installs. And Acer, of course, does their own wallpapers as well, But of course, every manufacturer does their own factory wallpapers. But nowadays, they don't do that on Windows 10 and 11. But they do only end up doing that to the background. So there's some final steps in terms of software installation that have to be done post OBE, and then we will arrive at our desktop. Okay, so the whole restore is done. Took about 50 minutes, and now we are on the final screen, which is the sort of manufacturer's out of box experience. Let's see, I had a menu for a split second. It controls to turn up the music and sound effects. And it says, "Welcome to your new HP computer. Click Go to begin." And this is actually that very same screen that this HP over there has. It's that very same screen, except there's different animations here. So of course, the first thing we get is the registration card, which this is an old computer, so unfortunately no. Keep your PC running smoothly. Do you want to receive updates for an old machine? Well, sure. You want an experience program? No. Don't want to take part in that program, because it probably doesn't exist anymore. And already yes is selected by default, as HP recommends activating 60-day trial before you use the internet. Well, I don't know how secure it would be. And then get connected. Well, as much as I would like to connect this to the internet, no, I'm not going to do that. And these are the final steps. You can return to any of these at any time. And then we can click finish. And now we will now be taken to the desktop. And this already looks like a pretty neat background, a very neat background. You can see there's a bunch of drawings and patterns of shapes and lines. I'm not sure how to say. I think this is like a generic background of sorts. There's no like manufactured logo or anything like that, which this HP over here has. However, I do not have it set up like that at the moment. In fact, yes, we will actually get to that HP computer in a later episode. But for the time being, what I mainly want to focus on is I want to get those other computers up and running, get much faster hard drives into the ones that are currently in service, and then finally put an operating system back onto the other one that doesn't have one. And there's the personalized settings. Yeah, that's probably a burnout of the screen. Where's that part of the background? Yeah, it looks to be a part of the background. But it could be something more, but then again. And anyway, here it is. Here is the desktop of this brand new copy of Windows 7 Pro. And I will show you that it is professional. So, closed. So, we go to Properties, and I can already see a few gadgets coming up. This is Windows 7 Professional Service Pack 1. It has, of course, a Core i5, and it has 4 gigs of RAM. And there's my computer name that I set earlier in the setup. It is part of the work group. It's the default work group, and there is no domain involved. This was on a domain previously, like those other ones. Now over here there are 2 special toggles. There's a toggle to enable and disable internet connectivity, and this toggle here actually opens up Internet Explorer, which it should be Internet Explorer 9 pre-installed. And just like on those Acers, it comes with a Bing bar pre-installed as well, as a pre-installed toolbar on the browser. And it also comes with Skype, which I don't think even exists anymore. It's now called Teams, but either way. Now there are some special toggles on here, just like those Dells. This one puts it to sleep. That controls the brightness. This, I believe, is projection. Yep, this is the projection menu in Windows 7. That locks the machine. And this toggle, this battery toggle, F6, function F6, and I'll explain that in a moment. Volume controls, music playback controls, and then that function F6 opens up HP Power Assistant, which helps manages computer battery consumption, which comes standard with laptops. And as you can see, as expected, it is not finding a battery because of how old it is. And then these are the system settings set by default. So, and we can go to advanced and we can see all the settings. So these are all the display, USB, power buttons and lid. Those are the default actions. These are the sleep settings, wireless power saving. That's hard disk, processor power, battery action, which is by default. So by default it hibernates, and then low battery will just display the notification. And then these are the full specs of the machine. It has a 500 gigabyte hard drive in here. And for screen, that's the brightness information. And then this shows all the services, including Arrow. And you can also save a copy of the report. And then there's a schedule. Here's the history. You can collect power data to HP if you'd like. And then these are some preferences for the program itself. Now, in regards to that fingerprint scanner, so there's a special gadget here. This is for HP Protect tools, which will actually provide those options here. So Here, this is where we can manage passwords, set up credentials, and we can check status of security apps. And here's this is CompuTrace. So CompuTrace is similar to Find My, which if you install this on the machine, this won't install to the hard drive. It'll actually be embedded straight into the BIOS. So what'll happen is if your computer is lost or stolen, then you can still track it even if the hard drive is formatted or replaced. You can even remotely lock or wipe the data on the device. This also comes in a Pro and Premium version, in which the software recovery team can work with law enforcement to retrieve the system and return it to its owner. So that's pretty unique for the time. And of course, Windows 11 and Windows 10 now have very similar functionality of such. So these are some password managers. So we can add a logon method. Open the logon screen of a website. This is not a logon screen. So yeah, you can essentially add authentication methods for lock screens, and on iOS and Windows, it's the same thing. So you can set up credentials for face. You can also set up a face recognition, which actually is now part of a whole new thing called Windows Hello, which has been implemented in Windows 10 and is still used in Windows 11. However, it only works on certain devices. In my case here, this Dell Inspiron 7506 I've had since Christmas 2020, it actually has a special dedicated fingerprint sensor, which I can just use my finger and just hold it on the power switch and it will sign me in to Windows. Now on Apple devices, they have similar functionality too. However, these have been phased out in favor of Face ID, considering that they've been removing the home buttons from newer iPhones and iPads going forward. So we can set up face recognition from this screen, and we can also set up fingerprints. So this will stop other users from going into HP Protect. Now, I have a Windows password already set up, which we set up during the out-of-box. So you can enroll a minimum of 2 fingerprints. So I can enroll this finger here. And then to enroll, you swipe your finger as shown, like this. I'll show you the screen as I do it. So that's how it's done. So that's one fingerprint. As another finger, I can also enroll my thumb as well. So we repeat the same process. So there we go. It has been enrolled. So we will save. Now I believe we can use those same fingerprints to log into the system. But also it comes with a file sanitizer program, which if you click it for the first time, it puts an icon on the desktop. So essentially what this does, it's essentially their version of File Shredder. What it'll do is it'll use military-grade encryption to destroy a file, which will then make it very difficult to recover. Certain antivirus software actually has similar functionality. In fact, our Kaspersky suite has this function. However, I rarely even use it. And there's also a device access manager on here as well. This is about Privacy Manager. So that's what this is. But now the question is, does the fingerprints carry over to the login screen? Well, we will find out. But let's take a look at the rest of the stuff that's on the system. So there's a software setup tool. So we'll look at that first. We'll see what that is. Please select the type of software. So we can take a look at all of the stuff. So it looks like everything has been installed, but essentially what this tool is you can install drivers from this tool. So you can use this tool to install some of the remaining drivers. Now, these aren't installed by default. You have to go into this utility to install the remaining drivers. So, now we'll take a look at some of the other stuff. We have Total Media Suite by ArcSoft. So after we accept the agreement, it is what it is. It is a DVD, CD, photo viewer creation tool. So it's a CD, DVD manager program. You can also create slideshows with these things, and you can also watch movies through that. And we'll take a look at what else it's got. It also has Microsoft Office 2010 pre-installed. And of course, if you have a valid license of the program, you can enter the key here, or you can just activate the starter edition. And there is that theft recovery tool, the CompuTrace that we were explaining earlier. It has SRS sound. Well, cannot find it right now. But again, it's going to wait until a proper driver is installed. So that explains what I was saying earlier, that it's going to install the remaining drivers and then we'll be all set to go. Alright, and then next we have HP Virtual Rooms, which again opens this site, which doesn't work. So I'm guessing it's like a predecessor of Zoom and Teams and many other of those tools that we see now. It's also got the Energy Star Power Saver, which just opens up power options here in the control panel. So of course, you know what that is. You can change power cycles and everything like that. It's got Evernote, which again is not pre-installed. It's just really an installer. And then we'll accept the terms and conditions of Evernote. However, you have to sign in. So you see this icon, you can use your fingerprint to log into the program. So we can add a logon password to this. Then we can type our data. We don't have any sort of valid info, so it won't work. And then we have some more of the Windows 7 stuff. We have XOBNI. I don't know what this is. So let's actually look at the manual, but I guess it's trying to lead somewhere, but I guess we won't know for sure. And the help tool also opens in its own thing. And I guess we won't ever know what that is either. But, of course, it has Windows XP mode by default, which we already took a look at that. It's got WinZip, should be version 14. So version 14.5 of WinZip. So you can use an evaluation version, which, again, you will only have a specific amount of time to use, and then you'll have to provide a license key in order to continue to use it. So then we have PDF Complete, which, of course, is a PDF reader, like Adobe Acrobat and all that stuff. And of course we have some of the online services which are included in the start menu rather than the desktop. And of course eBay opens up eBay, which is where this came from, where the charger came from. And you can create a website on Yola.com, apparently, because I think that was the service they chose. So yeah, this redirects to Yola.com. I don't even know if that still exists. It probably doesn't. And then what else do we have? QuickBooks trial to get online, and it has Huddle Workspaces. Well, of course we know what that is. And then here are all of the games, which even on a Pro edition of Windows 7 we get. So these are some of the games we've been seeing. We've been seeing a lot of these on these Acer machines. And I even see Club Penguin is on here, which of course opens up it tries to open up either Waltenga or the Club Penguin website. Well, unfortunately we're out of luck because Club Penguin shut down many years ago when the reboot was a fail. Well, the Club Penguin Island reboot was a fail. A big fail at that. But of course we can still play a lot of the other games here. So on Windows 7 Pro, the default games are turned off by default. We can go into Add Programs and Features and we can enable the games component later on. But now the problem is there is no recovery software. There is just the partition. I did some research to see if there was recovery software already on the machine, and apparently there wasn't. Okay, so now that all the drivers have been installed, when we hit continue, it's going to reboot the machine immediately. So unlike in Windows 10 and 11, the fingerprint sensor does not work on the login screen and is mainly reserved for specific services inside of Windows. But yeah, we've almost checked out everything. There's still a few more things we gotta look at. I just saw Live Essentials. Yep, it's got all the Live Essentials on here. Movie Maker, Photo Gallery, it's got all that. And we have the Support Assistant, which of course provides driver updates and everything like that. So let's take a look through the remaining components of the system. We're gonna hit back. Would you like HP to help improve the experience? No, it's not gonna work. And it's just really some help. You can maintain, troubleshoot some specific components. You can learn about your system. You can get assistance on things. And I think everything and these are just some optional software, and you can check for software updates through here. So yeah, it's not gonna work. And then we have this Sprint mobile broadband tool. Well, unfortunately Sprint no longer exists because they merged with T-Mobile. And now let's look at some of the wallpapers that are on the system. So it comes with a desktop background named Hewitt, and here are the 3 wallpapers. That's the third one. Here is the second one with a nice little periodic table there. And here's the one that we just had. So yeah, there's that. And then of course we have the default themes in Windows 7, plus the Hewlett-Packard theme by default. And then of course the basic Windows Classic. But yeah, sadly Windows 7 was the last version to use Classic. And then this is the wireless assistant connection manager, which explains that little toggle on the side. So yeah, of course what that does is it remains running in the background, and ensures that you remain connected to the internet. Of course, Norton has its own gadget. So yeah, that's it. That is a look at the HP ProBook 4530S business laptop from 2011. So in our next episode, we're going to continue the saga of upgrading to a solid state drive, with the next one up being the Latitude, in preparation for Windows 10's end of support in just a few months. So, until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.